In the dark alleys of Sicily, a legend was born, not of noble blood, but forged in the fires of vengeance. This is the story of a man who didn't just join the Mafia. He reshaped it from the inside out, turning a personal vendetta into an empire that would echo through history. This is the tale of the Don S. Empire, how one man's revenge changed the Italian Mafia forever. Our story begins in a small Sicilian village, where a young boy named Antonio witnessed the brutal murder of his family at the hands of a rival clan. Left for dead, he was found and raised by a disillusioned, retired mafioso who saw a spark in the boy's eyes, not of fear but of cold, calculating fury. He taught Antonio everything he knew, the codes, the traditions, and most importantly, the weaknesses of the organization he once served. As Antonio grew, so did his thirst for revenge. He didn't want to just eliminate the men who wronged him. He wanted to dismantle the very system that allowed them to thrive. He understood that the old ways of the Mafia, built on honor and family, had been corrupted by greed and senseless violence. His plan was audacious, to climb the ranks, not by being the most brutal, but by being the smartest. He started small, using his mentor's teachings to exploit loopholes in the criminal underworld. He wasn't a gangster who relied on muscle. He was a strategist, brokered deals others thought impossible, turning enemies into temporary allies and using information as his deadliest weapon. While other families were fighting over turf with guns, Antonio was building a network based on intelligence and economic control. He saw the future wasn't in extortion, but in legitimate businesses, a way to launder money and influence that was far more powerful than any army of thugs. His rise was meteoric. The old dons, steeped in their bloody traditions, underestimated the quiet, unassuming young man who spoke more about profit margins than vendettas. They saw him as a bookkeeper, not a threat. That was their first mistake. Antonio used their arrogance against them. He would financially ruin a rival family without firing a single shot, acquiring their assets and leaving them powerless. He played the long game, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When he finally confronted the clan responsible for his family's demise, he didn't just order their execution. He systematically dismantled their entire operation, absorbing their territories, their businesses, and their men. He showed the underworld that true power wasn't just about killing your enemies, but erasing them from the board entirely. He offered their foot soldiers a choice: join his new order, one based on efficiency and profit, or face oblivion. Most chose to join. Antonio, now known as Don Antonio, had achieved his revenge. But he didn't stop there. He had seen the chaos and self-destruction of the old Mafia, and he was determined to forge a new path. He established a new kind of organization, one that operated like a modern corporation, centralized power, creating a council that prioritized strategy and long-term growth over petty squabbles. He pushed the organization into new ventures: international trade, real estate, and even technology. Understood that the world was changing, and the Mafia had to change with it. He preached a new gospel: discretion over flamboyance, influence over intimidation, and profit over pride. He created a system where loyalty was rewarded not just with respect, but with real wealth and security. This was a radical departure from the old code, where a don's whim could mean life or death. Under Antonio, the organization became more stable, more powerful, and far more dangerous because it was nearly invisible. This new model, born from one man's personal tragedy, sent shockwaves through the global criminal underworld. Other families, seeing the success and stability of Antonio's empire, began to emulate his methods. The image of the hot-headed, gun-toting gangster started to fade, replaced by the suave, corporate-style criminal mastermind. Antonio didn't just kill his enemies. He killed the old way of life. He forced the Mafia to evolve, turning it from a collection of warring tribes into a sophisticated international syndicate. His influence was so profound that law enforcement agencies had to completely rethink their strategies. They were no longer chasing thugs in the streets. They were hunting ghosts in the boardroom. Empire Antonio built was more resilient, more integrated into the legitimate world, and infinitely harder to dismantle. The legacy of Don Antonio is a paradox. He was a man driven by a righteous quest for vengeance, yet in his success, he created a more efficient and formidable criminal enterprise than the world had ever seen. He sought to punish the system that took everything from him, but in doing so, he perfected it. His story serves as a chilling reminder that the greatest changes often come from the most unexpected places, and that a determined individual can alter the course of history, for better or for worse. The shadow of his empire still looms today, a testament to how one man's revenge forever changed the face of the Italian Mafia. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into the hidden corners of history. See you next time.